Okay, so we have our get contacts action creator here. I also want to do a delete action, delete contact, and also an add contact. So we're going to try to get that done in this video. Now, for each of those, we need to add a type. So we're going to go to our types file. I'm going to copy this down twice. And this one is going to be, let's do delete contact. And change this to delete contact. And this one will be add contact. Okay, so this will be add. Oops. All right, so we'll save this file. And now let's see, we're going to go back to our contact actions. And they're gonna be formatted just like this. So I'll just copy this and then paste this in twice. And we're gonna have delete contact. So let's do delete contact, and this is going to need an ID because it needs to know which one to delete. So let's put in an ID, and then let's call delete, not contacts, just singular contact, and then we're going to send a payload, okay, which should look familiar. So we send a payload of that ID. So that's the delete contact action creator. Now we want to do the add contact, so we'll go ahead and do that. So let's say add contact. This is going to take in the actual object, the actual contact, and we'll change this to add contact, and we want to send a payload of the entire contact. Okay, so that's it for the action creators. Now let's implement these in the reducer. So let's see, and the functionality here is pretty much identical to what we did with the context API. So we want to bring in our types. So we just want to add here delete contact and add contact, and then we want to add the cases down here. So for this, we want to return, let's see, we're going to return the initial state. And what do we want to do? We want to add the contact that comes in through the payload, right? So it's going to come in through the action. So it's going to be action.payload. Oh, I'm sorry, we're doing the delete. Never mind. We want to filter out the contact that has the ID that's in action.payload. So let's say contacts. Take the state.contacts, okay, so whatever is in there, and we want to filter through, and then for each contact we want to have a condition of where the contact.id is not equal to the payload, so action.payload, because remember when we sent right here, when we sent the type of delete contact, the payload just contains an ID. So that's what we're matching here, and we want to filter that out, and that should do it, I believe. So let's, yeah, so that should do it. Now let's add the add contact. So we'll say case add contact, and we want to return, state. And now we want to add it, so we'll say contacts, and contacts is an array. We want to add the payload, so action.payload, which is the new contact, and we just want to add it on to the initial state.contacts. So we use the spread operator. So that should do it for the reducer for now. Now we need to actually call these. We need to call these from somewhere, right? So let's see, what's this? Delete contact is not defined. That's because we need to bring them in here as well. So this is the worst part of Redux, is just all the typing and just all that goes into it. Just to kind of just do something simple, but as your application grows, you can see you can really see the benefit of it. So let's say add contact, save that. All right. So let's implement the delete, right? So the delete is right here. This is in the contact component. So let's go to that. So components, contact, the singular version. And this is where we actually need to implement it. But we have to connect it to Redux, just like we did the other component. So let's do im P, let's bring in from React Redux, and we want to bring in connect. Okay, let's see, what else do we want to do here? We want to bring in the action, of course. So let's say import our IMP tab, and we want to bring from //actions / contact actions, and we want to bring in the delete, right? Delete contact. So since we brought that in, let's go down to our export, and we're going to export connect. Okay, so whenever you use connect, you have to export that first and then wrap your component like that. Now, we're not getting any data this time. All we're doing is calling an action. We're not mapping state to props, so the first parameter is going to be null, no map state to props. What we do want to put is, for the second parameter, we want to put in some curly braces and say we want to use delete contact, which we just brought in up top. All right, and delete contact is a property. So in here we want to put it delete contact prop types dot func dot is required, and then we just want to call that up here where I had the comment. Okay, so on delete click, we simply want to call this dot props dot delete contact and pass in the ID. Okay, we already have it set up so the ID is passed in, I believe. If we go down here, let's check it out. Where's the delete? Right here. Yeah, we'll bind this and then we pass in the ID, which is coming from here. Yeah, so that should do it. Let's save and let's try to delete. So delete, and there we go. Cool. So if we pull up the Redux tools, let's reload this actually, and let's hit delete, and notice in the diff it's going to show us the difference. If I look in contacts, it shows us that the contact with the ID of 1, John, was deleted. That's what the diff is going to do. On the update, on the component update, or I'm sorry, the state update, it's going to show us what happened. And then if we look in our state, we just have the 2 contacts because we just got rid of one. All right, but obviously it's going to come back if we reload because it's hard-coded into the initial state. All right, so that's the delete. Now let's take care of the add. So we want to go to our add contact component, and we need to bring in a couple things here. We need prop types, and we want to bring in connect. And let's also bring in our action. So we have the add contact. So let's say import actions / contact actions, and we're going to bring in add contact. All right, so those are the things we need. Let's go down to the bottom here and get this set up. So export default connect, add contact, wrap that. So this time we're not getting any bringing any data in from the state. So again, null for map state to props, but we do have an action we want to call, so we want to put that in here. So let's say add contact. All right, let's add our prop type. So this is, what is this? Add contact is the name of the component, and we want to add prop types, and we want to add the action here. So let's see, prop types, it's a function, and we'll say is required. Okay, so where do we want to call this? We should have a placeholder up here. So submit contact is right here. Now, when we submit, where we have a new contact, now the issue here is that we're not yet dealing with JSON placeholder, right? So we're not making a request or anything like that. We're simply adding it to the DOM, and we don't have an ID. It's not going to create an ID for us because we don't have the back end to do that, so we have to generate it on our own. So for now, let's bring in UUID, which we installed before. So let's say import UUID from UUID, and we're just going to add to the new contact here an ID and set that to UUID, which is a function, and then that will generate an ID. So then we can submit our contact by simply saying this.props.addContact, and we want to pass in the new contact, and that should do it. So let's save and let's give it a shot. So we'll go ahead and add, let's say Steve Smith, and add. Okay, so that didn't work. Let's see, did it get called? No, it didn't. Let's see, nothing happened. Oh, I still have async. Okay, I still have async here, and I still have dispatch. Let me see what the console says. So I should have actually got rid of that before. No errors, but we want to get rid of this, and we also want to get rid of this. What happened is it's looking at dispatch as the event parameter, because we're not passing in dispatch on onSubmit. At least we shouldn't be. If we look at onSubmit, no, we're not. We're just calling it. So it's looking at it. This isn't working because this is being looked at as the event parameter. So we want to get rid of that. Now, if hopefully I remember, if I do, I'll fix this for you guys in your initial starting point. But if I don't, then just go ahead and get rid of the async and get rid of the dispatch. But now it should work, hopefully. So let's save. And let's try this again. So we'll say Steve Smith. And phone number. And add, and there we go, Steve Smith. Let's look at the Redux, and it called add contact, good. And if we look at our state, we should have 4 items, and we have Steve Smith in there. All right, cool. So it got added to our state. We can toggle. Awesome. We can delete. So that's how we can add actions to make dispatch calls to the reducer, and then the reducer basically trickles down what it needs to into our contacts component. Okay, so hopefully this is starting to make sense to you guys. In the next section, what I want to do is start to work with JSON placeholder again, because you're going to be making requests to some kind of server. You know, right now this is all DOM based. So you want to be able to make requests. You know, you could do like local storage and stuff like that as well. We're going to do a little bit of that in the Firebase application. Okay, so we're going to be using a library called React Redux Firebase, but we're also going to use local storage for like settings. It's going to have some settings that will be saved in local storage. So that's more of a production level project. Right now we're just learning. Okay, so it's not like the best project. It's not like the best application in the world. But yeah, so in the next section, we're going to start to get into Redux Thunk and making requests, Axios requests from within this file here, within our actions. All right, so I'll see you in the next section and in the next video.